Hello, everyone. Hello. So, are you still on Instagram?
Yes.
I think, go ahead and stream and then, so that I don't know why the feedback then, but we'll just do it this way. Yeah. So hello, everyone. Happy Monday. It's a new week. Beautiful, beautiful week. So today I have an amazing goddess, and I'm excited to get to know her actually and hear her story. And we're probably gonna be talking about light language too, because we both speak light language, and I want to hear her journey. So I have Charmaine Neighbors with me. Welcome, my dear. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for the invitation. I'm so honored.
We were trying to figure out how to do this and then also be on Instagram, and it was not working. I could not figure it out. So, Instagram, hopefully you can still hear my voice. Yes. Hello, everyone there too. So Charmaine, let's go ahead and start with this. Tell us what you do. What is something that lights you up?
So my favorite thing is to communicate beyond the veil and study things that are beyond the veil. And that's kind of been a theme throughout my life. And I wake up every morning, like at 4 or 5 in the morning, and I do channel writing and I sing light language throughout the day to my children after I read them stories. For bedtime or as we're driving, and just, it's just like integrated into daily life. And I live in a very rural area and have been kind of just on my own with this, and have a few people that knew about it, but it's not something that I was like sharing with many people. And so now I'm just so excited because I feel like I'm ready to be of service now. Like before, I was prepping, I was getting ready for this journey, I was calling in this journey, I wanted this journey, and now I'm like accepting being in it, because it's one thing to want something and it's another thing to get it and then want it, and exactly. So I'm really excited to be open and willing to be of service and be out in the world and out in my community and really inspire other people, because I don't think I'm like all that special. I feel like so many people have these hidden gifts that they're afraid of, exploring at all, or maybe just sharing with other people, or so I'm really excited to connect with like more people in my community locally, because yes. Of course we can find other people online, but locally that we can create this energy together in person. So
yeah. And it was really cool because I think you typed in something, or maybe I was on your website and I was like, wait a minute, she's in Colorado?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm in the very, very corner of Southwest Colorado. Yep.
Yeah. I was like, that's so cool.
Also in Colorado, so
Yes. Yeah. I'm like 30 minutes from Denver. So yeah. Well, with traffic, it's longer.
Yeah.
Oh man, but that was really cool. That was really cool. So tell me about, I know you do mediumship and then there's the light language there. Tell me about what other gifts do you play with?
So I got my first Reiki attunement when I was 17, and that was super cool because I'd always been sensitive and could kind of didn't really know what I was experiencing, but thought it was normal. And, now I know that not everyone thinks that's normal. But once I got my first Reiki attunement, I really felt like in that moment I was receiving the attunement, it was so much energy just like flowing through my body. And I was just blown away. I was like, this is magic. This is the most real thing I've ever experienced. That is just, the energy was so powerful. And so I've been doing Reiki since then, and that was over half my life ago now. And since then, I've become a Reiki master teacher, and I gave my daughter her first Reiki attunement.
Nice.
And I'm waiting for my second one, because I let it be their choice.
Yes.
I thought about doing it when they were really young, but I'm like, they don't need it when they're really
young. They're so in flow.
Yeah. And I wanted to make sure that they'd be like ready to receive that responsibility. I mean, it's really a responsibility. You can't just go into anything like this lightly.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
Yeah.
How old are your little ones?
5 and 9, almost 10. Yeah.
I have a 4-year-old. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, so precious. How did they receive the Reiki when you do it, or even the light language? The songs that you sing to them. How did they receive it?
My oldest one has some challenges with her health throughout her life, and it's been a quite learning journey, which is an entire story in and of its own. But it was when I first started doing like singing for my children instead of just by myself. I was still building up my confidence and all that stuff. She was in one of her episodes of feeling just absolutely terrible, and there's really wasn't much that I could do to relieve that for her. And I would just do the normal things that I would do, which would help her. But when I started singing and I sang to her, she fell asleep, and she slept so good for like 30 minutes, and she woke up and she felt so much better. And I was like, whoa, that's so cool. Because I'm such a skeptic that even immersed like I am in this every single day for decades, I still every day am like, I'm not just going to hop on the believer train. Every day it must prove itself to me that it's true, because I know how easy it is to get caught in delusion.
Yes.
And to receive things that you just become too trusting. I've done that in my own life with humans. And I always say to people, I look at the spirit realm no different than the human realm. There are all kinds of energies out there, just like there's all kinds of people out there. And not one energy is deserving of my undivided trust. I'm a sovereign being, and they must meet me there every time. So, and with people, there's good people and there's people that you have bad interactions with but are really good people. So there are people that you have great interactions with and they're not good people. So it's you really have to be discerning with every interaction. So
exactly. Oh, that's so important. I love what you said. I think for me, I'm immersed in that spiritual realm as well. But it's the questions, asking the question, not just going in everything in the spiritual realm must be good or must be, it's go in that sovereign energy and really connect it to the highest energy and be discerning to hopefully you're not opening yourself up to just anything or anything at all. Like my channel is like connected to above, to Divine Father, and then below to the Divine Mother. They meet in my heart, and that's where I come from. And anything else that wants to come through has to be the same frequency to that. If they're not, they can't come through. And so it's very, pure and discerning that way. And it's so easy. I don't have to worry about jumping over here to go channel so and so that I have no clue who they are or why they're there. It's like this. If you're in alignment with, who I am, what I'm connected to, the frequency of unconditional love, which is really what that is, then it will come through. Yeah. I love that you said that. Discernment is huge. Just like in human world, we need that in the spiritual world too. Yeah. So tell me, so I want to hear about the mediumship. When did that come online and how was that like?
So I feel like if there was some kind of something happening in my head for a while, like a feeling that this is what was being communicated, but it wasn't super duper clear. And so I decided to start writing, automatic writing. And so I would ask a question and then I would get centered and grounded and neutral. And I would be like ready to receive the message. And I would always direct it to, my personal guides. And in my understanding, like I have my personal guides, and they are like the filter. They are the gatekeeper for this.
Yes.
So I think the thing that's different with being like a medium is that I speak on behalf of people, and then other people, like in the spirit realm, for example, will communicate through me, through my writing, but they aren't necessarily, divine beings of love. They're just like normal people that have passed on, or so there's different levels that I'm able to interact with. And before all this started, and really the first interactions that I've had where I was like, I'm definitely having a conversation with a spirit, it was not good interactions. Like it was not love light interactions. It was like, it freaked me out. And in those moments, especially like in the scariest of them, at one point my channel, like my guides came through me, like they took over and were protecting me and making my hands go in mudras. And that was the first time that I really spoke in light language.
Yes.
And it wasn't just me by myself, it was me with another person.
Yes.
And so that was cool because, after that interaction, like we were speechless for about an hour. And then once we got over that and we started talking about it, like we could confirm what we both experienced, So that was good for me because, otherwise I might have just chalked it up to delusion or, whatever.
Yeah.
And so like so many people do, which, is understandable. I mean, especially when you go through something scary, you want to believe that it's not real. So,
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the light language and the mediumship go so beautifully together because you have that, mediumship I feel like it can feel a bit heavy because you're dealing with departed souls, and bringing in light language lightens things up. And it creates that pure channel for those souls to also be able to, like the purest souls, the ones with great intentions to come through and work you, but you're also protected, and I love that you're working with your team on that. That's also so important. If you're a medium and you don't have these set, if you're not working with your guides, let this be a sign. Get to know your guides. You have to, when I was younger, one of the main gift that was online was mediumship. And it was like, it was just like every Friday night, that was my job. And I would always do it with Archangel Michael. Like he was always with me. And I say he, but you know what I mean. Yeah. It's not really a he or she, but he was always with me. And he would wherever I went. But he also gave me space for me to get to experience this work and get that confidence in my mediumship. But it's like you couldn't mess with me. It was still scary. It was not easy, like you said. Like some of the souls were so easy to just be like, here, this is what's going on. Here's the light. Go home and go rest. Go rejuvenate. And it was just like, oh, thank you, right? And there are other souls that are like, like, I don't like you. I don't want to go. I want to like create some torment here. And those are the ones that Archangel Michael's like, get your booty in there,
Totally. And because I was a lot younger then, that was like over 10 years ago when a lot of those things happened. And I realize now, like, because I was talking to my guides about it, and I was like, so like what? Because for so long I was so confused about what happened. And so I finally got to talk to my guides about it. I was like, what was that? Like, why were they hostile at me? And both of them were territorial. And it wasn't that they were bad necessarily. It was that I was in their space and they didn't want me there. Yeah. And I mean, in one place I was in the jungle, and I was in this little place that seemed like a very important place for a family. And I didn't know if it was occupied or not anymore, but because there's a lot of cobwebs and stuff like that. And so that they were just like, leave now, like leave. And I was walking away. I was like, okay, I'm leaving. I was walking away, and I could sense that there was many people behind me walking, making sure I was getting out. And I like stopped, and I turned around and I looked. I'm like, there's nothing there. There's nothing there, Charmaine. There's no people walking behind you. No. And then I was like, never. I'm like, I'm just okay. I'm just gonna leave. Like, so I was logic. Yeah. Was trying to tell me that I was wrong, and the other one, I was in a cave, and that cave actually has like a lot of legend around it, and actually people were cursed that lived in that cave at one point through that story. So I understand,
Totally.
And, yeah.
Yeah. That's scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. And those are big encounters that you just.
And the person that I was with had been to that same cave many times and never experienced anything like that before.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting because there's that, a lot of people that work in this realm, maybe when in the beginning they're like, oh, light and love, and light and love. And they don't understand that this is like, there's this full spectrum, and light isn't always good and dark isn't always bad. And there's like this balance that you have to learn to be comfortable in. And so, I don't invite, of course, any energies that are too exuberant in that intense negative energy. But like, I know that in the past I've dealt with them, and if I have to deal with them again, that like I am supported and I'm protected, and I'm doing a service, It's like there's ripple effects to this. It's not just about me and my comfortableness.
So that's the thing with the gift of mediumship. Sometimes you have no choice. Some of my medium friends, they think they're going to the grocery store to just get a simple tax done, and all of a sudden there's a message, that needs to be said to someone they don't know, and they're like, God dang it. Do I really have to do this right
now? I'm not that in demand right now. So thank goodness, because I've heard so many stories from other people, and I'm like, that would be exhausting. And they said finally they put up those boundaries, being like, hey, you know what? I need my sleep. I need my peace. And they put up those boundaries, and then it got filtered better because, if you're just open to anybody's going to come up and be like, hey, I got
I have a friend who has a office hour set up.
Oh,
Yeah.
good.
It's,
Yeah.
it's so important. The boundaries is so important. Otherwise, you just constantly open, invited, and they're gonna come because they need help, and yeah. So she has office hours, and in that office hours, she'll receive it, she'll go, relay the messages, she'll do all that. But when it ends, it ends. And I mean, at first it was like they'll test it a little bit. And now it's like they know. It's like, oh, she's done. Yeah, she's done. That's it. I love it. I love it. I think that's one of the superpowers that is so, is gnarly. It's powerful and gnarly because it's no easy job, you know, eh, doing this in a human body, having that awareness of souls who have departed. It's no easy job. And I'm finding out more and more that a lot of mediums started when they were younger, which is even more scarier. It's like, oh my gosh, like for me, sometimes were really scary. And I was like, why? Why? But the experience was so worth it. And the fact that I wasn't doing it alone also helped me do what I needed to do, in those times. Yeah. So important. Discernment, boundaries. Yes.
Discernment, boundaries. And I feel like, there's potentially like even more people that are going to be even more sensitive, yes. I already identify it and one of my children. And of course my kids don't think anything about this, like it's not special to them. It's
normal. It's totally normal.
Oh, sure. My mom's just like, talking to her team of them.
She'll be back.
Yeah. She's singing me light language. I don't really know what that means. I don't know what word she's using, but it sounds nice.
My son, like I've had him, like I'll have him on my lap sometimes when I'm doing lives and I'll do light language. And he will look at me, he just stare at me. And when he started being able to like talk and, I'll speak to him and then he will speak it right back at me. And then I'll speak it at him and I was like, oh, there was a time I did a live and I was like, I wonder if toddlers, what we think they're speaking gibberish, it's actually light language. Like we're born with light language to begin with. And then we learn our mother tongue or, cultural tongue, like whatever that language is. But it was really cool. And now if I'm speaking light language, it doesn't matter where he is. He will run into the office and come sit with me. Like I can feel it, and it's just really cool. It's so natural for them and they understand it, and it makes a lot of sense too. Yeah.
My one, she's like, Mom, can you please stop singing now? She's like, I just want to be quiet right now. Okay.
Oh my God. She knows what she wants, right?
She does. Absolutely.
Please stop singing that right now. Oh my gosh. I love that. I love that she knows what she wants and she asks for it. Yeah. So your light language got activated when you had that experience with the mediumship.
So I had it before, but it was like I would say things during my Reiki session.
Yes.
And I would whisper it so they couldn't hear because I was, nervous about what was happening and I didn't want to freak them out, and I kind of just like suppressed it because I didn't find it helpful because I didn't understand it.
Yes.
And I tried to like get answers. I'm like, can you please speak in English so I can understand what's going on? And it would just come out in this like nonsense. And I'm like, I don't know who you are and what you're saying, but unless you can speak to me in English and I'm clear about what's happening, this needs to stop.
Oh man, yeah. So that was like earlier on when you were doing the Reiki stuff.
Yeah.
Ah.
And then that one time when I was in the cave and that energy came through, and it just, like when my Reiki energy is flowing me really strong, like my hands move like magnets, there's that whole flow, like my hands moving, I'm not moving my hands, I have control of them, I could stop them, I could make them do different things, but I just let that flow. And so in that moment, it was just like my guides came in and they just like took over, and I spoke loud and powerfully, to this being right in front of this person. And that was the first time that it wasn't my confidence doing it. It was literally my fear letting it happen,
Yes.
And so I was like, okay, well, it protected me in that moment. So now I have greater trust and awareness of it. And then I've never been like a singer. I had a bunch of friends in high school and junior high school that were in bands, and they were musicians. They weren't tone deaf and all that. And I always wanted to be a singer because I thought it'd be so cool to like, just, like music, and it was like I could be such a good punk rock singer. And then I like asked the universe, I was like, I really want to sing. Like, I can't find a voice instructor locally. I don't want to do it online. Can someone just mentor me in singing?
Yeah.
And so that is like when I asked that's when it started coming through again. And it came through very like, it was tones. It was getting my vocal cords ready for this. And it sounded super weird. So I would definitely do it by myself when like no one is around, because I was like, this is so weird. And then once my throat and my, vocal cords got used to it, because it was actually like sometimes very strenuous.
I bet.
To get to those tones and stuff. And I'd have to take breaks to like just let them relax. And then so once that was kind of that period was done, then it was like a singing style. And it was really cool because I was like, this is awesome. And then I did it for one of my friends who was a singer. And I was like, can you tell me if this is on key? Because I have no idea. She's like, yeah, that sounds great. I'm like, okay. I'm like, still, I don't know. I don't even know. I could be totally tone deaf. You're
freaking me out. I do love that you asked for a spirit mentor, a spirit voice mentor. That is incredible. That is incredible. Yeah. That's so cool. Oh my goodness. Yeah. This was like, was this 2 years ago or 3 years ago? Something like that. But I thought that I was aware of all my gifts, like done, like I know my gifts, I'm good. But I was always drawn to light language. I've always drawn the symbols, and when someone speaks it, it just brings me to tears. Like I love light language. Yeah. And in that year, it was like this buildup in my throat. I can't even, like this energy buildup, I was like, oh my gosh, what? And every time I hear someone speak it, it just like, my heart just opens up, my throat is like something needs to come out. And so one time I was in the bathroom and, I was like, higher self, this can't keep going on. Whatever needs to come out, can you please help me get it out? Like I just, and my higher self was like, why don't you pick up your phone and record and just let it out, just whatever. And so I picked up my phone, I pressed record on the audio, and it was like, it just started pouring out of me, like just pouring out of me. And I was like, oh, I speak light language now. Okay.
Yeah. I love
it. Then.
I love it.
Yeah. So and cool. I've been speaking since, and it's been really amazing in terms of using it to support, my son, myself, to amplify my work, to amplify my gifts, some of the older gifts, to really boost things up, and it's just such a quick way to activate someone or clear someone, it just is so freaking powerful. And it's like the more you do it, more opens up to you, like sometimes I feel like it's like different dialects that come through. Sometimes I'll speak and someone is like, I think one of my first ones, they're like, it sounds like the Maori, like when the warrior chant. And I was like, interesting. Well, I do love them. And it changes. Sometimes like the ancient grandmothers that come through and it's more deeper. And yeah, so it's really interesting to notice the flow of it when it comes out, and also how it feels in my body and how others or what they receive from it, that receiving it. Yeah.
I love that. I love that you mentioned the different dialects, because I feel like there are different dialects that are so distinct. And there's some things that like come through often where I can like be like, oh, I've heard that word before. I've heard that word before. I've heard that word before. I don't know what that means yet, but I've heard it. Like there's a few things that I can recognize, and I couldn't tell you what they are in this moment, but when it's coming through, I'm like, oh, I've heard that. Yeah. And I live in Southwest Colorado, and where I live is like the largest archaeological site for any ruins and artifacts.
Yes.
In all of the United States, actually. And we're right next to Cliff Palace, and this whole area was just like the highway to Chaco Canyon, which is like, for whatever ceremonies were happening with the natives of all the tribes coming up from South America, from Canada, all the way there. And so I have like, and I study anthropology. So I love this aspect of the energy of where I am. And my daughter, like we go to powwows at the evening. And so sometimes when I'm seeing my daughter's like, you sound like you're speaking Navajo or something. And I'm like, I don't know, but it could be, because there's like that ooh, like with the drum kind of beat. And other ones it's like ooh, like that, and other times it's just like that pulsing like Maori, like I don't know if I've heard anything that sounds Maori to me, but like that intense like that like fire fight energy, It's so cool. I love that you experienced that. It's so cool. To other podcasts with other people talking about it. I haven't actually like had a conversation.
Well, there you go. Yeah, I like you said, there's some tones, I should say, because I can't even call it words, but some tones that I notice it's the same one that come through every light language. And every now and then it's really cool. Something new will come up, be like, oh, that's new.
Totally.
It's so cool. I love it. I love like light language. And I'm glad that is coming online so powerfully at this time, because it tells us a lot about where we are as, human, like all of us, our consciousness, where we are, and also the planet and what it needs. Right. Yeah.
Absolutely. I feel so hopeful, like the further I've gone down this path, like in the beginning of this path, when I was younger, I had nightmares all the time, like apocalyptic nightmares, things that, just, I would never watch anything scary ever or read anything scary, because I didn't want any fuel for my imagination. And I saw the worst things, and since I've, gone deeper into this, I've been able to transmute that, because that has no like weight on me now. Even if those things happened, I'm not even scared like of that anymore,
Exactly.
Because I am so aware of the reality of our existence and who we are and who we're supported by. And like, it's not blind faith, it's so tangible. It's so tangible. And I just love that aspect so much, And now it's like, it's so easy to get pulled into fear, even more than ever for so many people. And I just like, it doesn't get me anymore. And that's honestly a miracle, because it's a miracle. That if nothing else happened besides that in my life, I would have been stoked. But I have, the opportunity to help serve so many other people that are in maybe a similar position that I've been in my life, in that, that it won't let go of you, in your body. And it's debilitating and it's not fun. And I love that, like this happened 2 years ago, you said?
The light language, yes. Yeah. Yes, about 2 years ago. Yeah.
And like, I just keep hearing more and more people that are speaking light language, they're dancing light language, that are writing light language, that are doing art as light language. And there's like, there's multi modalities of it and these codes and stuff like that. And I think it's so cool,
It really is. I love it. Or even people who, especially if they're like the people who use it in art, or people who like they find their hands like doing stuff and they're like, I have no clue, using the mudra, and they're like, wait a minute, those are light codes the whole time. So it's like realization that, because I feel like at the beginning people were thinking that you have to speak it and that was the only way. And it's like, no, there are people who draw it, who doodle it, who paint it, who sing it, who drum it. Like, it's a frequency. And however it wants to come through, that is for the highest good of all involved, it will come through that way. So is, people recognizing that, oh, I'm also a channel for this frequency. Like, it's so beautiful to see that and witness that at this time. Yeah, absolutely.
And I like to tell people that, like, hey, guess what? You're already a channel. Yes. You just don't know it. You're not consciously aware of it. Like, you're already receiving messages. And once you become aware, then you get to choose those messages. You get to choose those energies. And anybody that has any kind of creative outlet, you get in that like zone and you're just, and it's easy. And it's just happening and time flies. And, like, where is our mind? Where's my mind?
So it's so true. Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. Oh my gosh. Yeah. We could talk about light language all day. I freaking love it.
Absolutely.
So, my dear, how can, if someone wanted to reach out to you and work with you or just chat with you about your story, some of the things that you've shared with me today, how can they reach you?
So I have Instagram, and it's Researching Invisible Forces, which is right here.
There you go. You got it.
And I also have what's it called? A link tree.
Yes.
Which I don't have a website, but I have a link tree, and it's got this Researching Invisible Forces is my personal Instagram, and I share a lot of really interesting things on it. And then I have Neighbors Reiki Resonance, which is for my business of doing healings and sessions with people. And that one is so people could find me, really. And yeah, just message me and follow along my stories. My stories is where all my interesting things happen. My profile is really just cool pictures of where I live. So,
which you live in a really cool place. Yes, I'll have to like check out the. What is it? The stories? No. What is it? Is it reels or stories or both?
My stories. I put stuff in my stories every day. Yeah.
I will look forward to that. Yes. But I always look at the picture. I'm like, oh my God, it's gorgeous. And then I was like, oh, Colorado. Yeah, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Of course. So I have the link tree. Let's see. It's above. Find it above. Click on it, or find her, on Instagram. Send her a message. Get to know her. If you like to have her on your podcast, send her a message. Get it done, because more and more people need to know that they're not alone on their path to their purpose, and how that shows up is very unique. It's not all the same, and it's okay. So the more we get to share our path with others, the more they're like, oh, okay, it doesn't have to look this way. Or, oh, I kind of had a similar experience. We can all support each other and come together. So Yes. But Charmaine, thank you. Thank you for
Thank you,
coming on
Abigail.
to have this chat with me. And I hope Instagram, you got to join us and listen in, and I hope you had fun. All right, my loves. Until
Thank
next
you.
time.
Thanks,
Yes,
Abigail.
my pleasure. Until next time, have a wonderful, wonderful week. Bye, everyone.